Today I want to talk to you guys about the biggest mistake that I see landscape photographers making. And the only reason I know they're making this mistake is because I read all of you guys' comments. And I also made this mistake personally when I first started out into landscape photography about 15 years ago. So that mistake is all based around efficiency and the amount of gear that you own. So whenever I'm reading the comments, I'll see people write stuff like, "Hey, Dave, you should try this piece of gear. That would solve your problem." Or, "Hey, Dave, you should try this piece of gear." And a lot of times it's not things like camera or lenses. It's all these little small additions you could add on, like a camera strap that clips off, or a thing that you hang under your camera tripod and you fill with rocks so your camera doesn't shake around as much. It's almost like a million little gadgets that people are depending on to make their photos better. So when I look at that stuff, I say to myself, well, that might work, but it's also going to make your whole photo process a lot more complex. And if you think about this, the amount of time that you can spend getting better at photography is zero sum, meaning you only have a limited amount of time. So if you have 10 different pieces of equipment you have to learn, let's say you have 2 camera bodies and 4 lenses and a tripod, and then all these different gadgets, all of your time has to go into perfecting each of these pieces of equipment. So you're not going to be an expert at any of them because your time is splayed out over all these different things. What I like to do and what I like to recommend to people to do if they want to get better at photography a lot quicker is cut down your gear to only the essential things. So what I have as far as my gear setup, I have a wide angle lens, the 14 to 30 millimeter. I have a zoom or telephoto lens, which is a 24 to 200 millimeter. And then I have a camera body and I have a tripod. I don't own any extras. I don't own any camera timers. I don't have any apps that connect to my camera. I don't have anything that hangs under my camera to stabilize it. I don't have any extra straps. There's nothing else that I have. And by only having these basics, I can devote all my time to becoming an expert at them. And what I've realized over time is that you actually don't need all these extra gadgets. You can just become better at the actual technical aspects of shooting and solve all of the problems that these gadgets might provide you. So if you're really good at shooting, you should be able to think at things at the level of first principles and what's actually going to help you out. So I like to use something called the 80-20 rule for this. The 80-20 rule can be seen in nature, it can be seen in businesses, it can be seen everywhere across the universe. And what it says is that for any scenario, 20% of your inputs into something are going to give you 80% of your outputs. An easy one to visualize here is for most businesses, 20% of their customers give 80% of their revenue. For photography, you could say 20% of your camera gear gives 80% of your good photos. So whenever I'm looking at anything that I want to do, I want to concentrate on the most important 20% that's going to give me the largest positive output. Now, this is very hard to visualize at first because with so much choice in the world, people often think that more is better. And having more choices actually just paralyzes them because they're like, oh, I need all this different stuff. I need to use that gadget and this gadget. And by using all these gadgets, they have to spend their limited time to learn how they work. And they can't spend that time instead working on the 20% of things that give them the largest output. So as you get better at this, you can actually narrow it down to the 90-10 rule, meaning what are the 10% of things that you do in life that provide 90% of the output or positive benefits in your life. So whenever I'm looking at this stuff, I could start a bunch of other photography businesses. I could try to teach wedding photography. I could try to teach any other type of photography I wanted because I know most of the skills for this stuff, but I would rather devote all my time to landscape photography and getting better at it because I know that I can produce that 90% outcome, and that's where all the power lies. So whenever I'm looking to gear up for anything, I want to have the minimum possible equipment that I need to give me that 90% output. Now, I could say, okay, I have this 10% of essential equipment. It's giving me 90% of the output that I need. I could try to get that remaining output, the 90 to 100%, but it would require me to get all that remaining equipment, which is 90% remaining. So it's going to take me a whole lot of extra work. So I want to look for the things that are called power multipliers. What are the specific things that I can do that give me all of the return on my investment? So for me, that's having 2 lenses, 1 camera body, and a tripod. I have 3 batteries. I have 2 memory cards. That's the whole extent of my photography gear. When I'm at home, I have a computer, I have a card reader, I have a hard drive. That's the whole extent of my photography gear at home. As far as my backpacking and outdoor gear, I have the very minimal amount of gear. Nothing more than I need, right at the line of not having enough, but never spending time looking for stuff that I don't actually need, because I want that 10% of things that gives me 90% of the output, because then I can concentrate all my time and energy to that 10%, and it's going to give me this exponential return on gains and improvement, on gains in better photos, on gains in better business practices, on gains in everything that I do in my life. So I keep the number of things that I do in my life, the number of things that I own, and actually the number of actions that I do on a specific day, divided down to that 10% that I can do that gives me 90% of the return.
I wanted to give you guys a quick heads up. Right now, if you join my email list, I have a 10-day free trial, which gives you unlimited access to all of my photography courses. Now, these courses teach every single technique that I use as a full-time wilderness photographer. So you'll learn camera technique, you'll learn photo editing, photo organization, composition, how to find shots in the field. You'll be able to access and watch dozens of my expeditions out into the wilderness where I take these photos and teach you how to create them from start to finish. I designed this school to be the perfect learning experience, something that I wish would have existed when I started wilderness photography, landscape photography, and outdoor photography 10 years ago. So if you'd like to join my email list, you'll get this 10-day free trial. You'll also get a bunch of other good stuff, including access to my PDF library, which includes all of my photography guides, which you can take out in the field to shoot with you. Check out the link down below this video to join and sign up. You can cancel anytime. I'll never hold your email address hostage. I want to provide you with the best learning experience possible. Now let's get back to the video.
When you start out with this, look for that 20% that you can do that gives you 80% of the returns, and then start to move it slowly up to 90. What you'll find is you have to cut out a whole lot of things in your life, and you'll slowly notice that cutting out these things doesn't subtract much from the overall returns that you're getting for life. So I like to work on the things that I know I can have a big positive net effect with. I can teach landscape photography to people. I feel like I have an expertise in landscape photography. I spend a lot of my time there. I spend a lot of my time out backpacking and hiking because I know that will give me massive returns on getting better photos. You could look at it like this as well. Let's say you want to go on a photography trip and you're like, okay, I could get a hotel for 7 nights and then I could go on day hikes to shoot this location that's an hour away from the hotel. Well, most of the time spent on that trip is actually spent traveling to the photography location and at the hotel. Instead, I said, well, how do I get to spend all of that valuable time where I'm actually out shooting in the landscape? How do I make sure most of my trip is spent out there? Well, the answer is backpacking and hiking and living out in the landscape. And if I put all my time into doing that, the increase or benefit to my photography business and to my photography quality and to my photos is just going to go through the roof, because not only can I teach a lot more and take a lot more photos if I'm out in the landscape all the time, I'm also going to learn to read light. I'm going to learn to read weather and do all this stuff that surrounds it that's going to give me that exponential return and make my photos better and make my ability to teach better. So looking throughout your life, look at all the things that give you a massive return or massive net benefit. There might only be 2 or 3 things in your life like that. Everything else that surrounds it, cut it out and divert all that energy from the stuff you cut out right back to those things that give you the massive returns. And then every 6 months, continue to cut more and more out, divert it to those massive returns, and you'll see a large exponential return in your art, in your photography, in your life, and anything else that you apply. So my recommendation to everybody, get rid of all the gadgets. Get really good at photography gear. Make it minimal, divert all your money to getting a great set of lenses, 2 lenses at max for landscape photography. Cover from 14 millimeters up to 200, get a really nice full frame body, get a few extra backup batteries, get a memory card that works well and is fast, get a tripod, and that's really all you need. And then all that time that was spent looking for gadgets and trying to figure out how they work, divert that all to your photography skills and constantly optimize those skills. And you're going to see an exponential return on your photos, on everything else you try to do, and I guarantee you it'll work out for the best.
Leave me a comment below with a question you may have had. I'll be answering them in future Q&A sessions. Also, leaving me a like or hitting the subscribe button to follow my channel is a huge help. I have a 10-day free trial which gives you unlimited access to all of the courses that I have that teach every single skill set about landscape and outdoor photography. These are skills that I've tuned, honed and designed over the last 10 years as a full-time wilderness photographer. So if you'd like to get free access, test out all the courses, learn composition, learn camera technique, photo editing, organization, everything else that goes into the complete creation of wilderness and landscape photography images, check out the link below this video. Get signed up. No strings attached, no credit card required. I just want to give you guys access to understand everything that I know about landscape and outdoor photography. So thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.